guys, coming back at y'all today with another video, and this time I'm talking about Attack on Titan Season 4, Episode 11, and this episode right here just solidified my hate and my frustration for Gabby, but the one thing that I kind of have with her when it comes to my viewpoint is that I understand her more and more, and I see what Hajime Isayama truly was doing with this particular character. So moving straight into it, I'm going to be talking about scenes that stood out to me. I won't be going in complete order. I'm just going to talk about each scene that stood out to me. So, of course, I'm going to address the elephant in the room, how Gabby and Falco got out of the prison cell. Of course, she's pretending to be in pain, you know, Gabby on her dog crap, just pretending. And she gets the attention of an Eldian soldier. Dude comes in there and says, "What's wrong?" And then she has a brick inside of the darn sack, excuse me, and she goes ahead and pops that dude in the face multiple times, kills him. Falco's like, "Hey, that's going overboard." And Gabby, of course, typical, this is the devil, who cares? So she goes ahead, I'm assuming, they didn't show this, but I'm assuming she took the key, got out of the cell, and then her and Falco are on the run. Eventually, later on, she and Falco eventually encounter somebody who is associated with Sasha. This girl is the same exact girl that Sasha had saved in season 2, as we saw. So this is when things get really interesting. So this same girl brings Sasha and Falco over to the house she stays at, and you know, it's kind of like this loving, caring group of people who kind of run this orphanage. You know, kind of taking in orphans. Gabby and Falco are kind of pretending to be orphans. It was mainly Falco's idea, of course, because when they first got there, Gabby basically wanted to take one of the darn horses and just run and just escape, you know, stereotypical Gabby. And Falco was like, "No, let's not do that. I mean, we have good hospitality right here. Let's take that, and then after that, see where it goes." So we're following Falco's lead. He's going in, and then afterwards, you know, the really good scene as Gabby is getting treated well by these Eldians, you know, because her whole life she's been taught that all Eldians are bad, all of them are trash, all of them are devils, you know, evil. They messed with us, we messed with them back, and you know, huge cycle ensuing from there. So she's like struggling to eat the food. She kind of finds out that not Eldians are all bad because her viewpoint is getting challenged right here, and her hand is kind of trembling as she's getting ready to eat that soup that was offered to her by the two middle-aged people running this orphanage. So yeah, moving on from that, there was a couple of other scenes. I mean, you know, Gabby's head gets bit by a horse, whatever. I thought that was just Hajime Isayama's usual strange humor. It was fine. I didn't really think too much of that. Only it felt like Gabby was kind of getting some universal karma coming towards her from that right there. So, and afterwards, there's a scene where the girl that was saved by Sasha, I forgot her name. I'm not even going to attempt to remember. She says, "I know that you two are Marleyans." She also, before she said this, she said that, "Is that what they teach you in Marley? What, to just think all Eldians are bad?" And the way how this happened, Gabby was kind of talking to the girl that Sasha had saved and saying, you know, you should still feel guilty. You haven't atoned for your sins or whatnot. You know, typical dog crap coming from Gabby's mouth. And after the girl had said what she had said to Gabby, you know, is that what they teach you in Marley? Gabby goes ahead, picks up a darn pitchfork out in the open, and tries to attack the girl. And of course, Falco stops her. And it's like, dude, are you kidding me right now? And everybody's like, "Hey, what's going on over there?" And Falco and that girl that Sasha had saved are kind of smoothing it over, kind of playing it off as Gabby horsing around, you know. So after that scene, we get into my favorite part of this whole thing going on with Gabby. Yeah, they go to the exact same house that, you know, that girl's mother was attacked in by that Titan from season 2. And, you know, it was like a slim, skinny Titan. It was one of those small Titans, but this Titan was strong enough to, you know, hurt her mother and kill her. And she kind of just laid there and took it, obviously. And the girl was watching. Sasha had saved her and prevented the girl from getting killed by that Titan. But moving back to the present, the girl goes back to that same house that Sasha had saved her in. And, you know, on this part right here, Gabby eventually has a mental breakdown and says, "Stop playing the victim. Your people screwed over my people." And then the girl, she snaps back kind of and says, "But why? Why did my mother have to die when she had nothing to do with the attack on your people? Why don't you answer me that? Answer my question. Tell me." And pretty much she's like snatching Gabby by the shirt, kind of saying all of that to her. And before it gets out of hand, Falco once again, the garbage man, to pick up the trash that Gabby always leaves. You really feel sorry for Falco, man. It's like, to go on a side point right quick, he always gets taken advantage of when it comes to his good nature. I mean, we saw what Eren did when it came to having him, deliver those letters to Eren's comrades, and then afterwards, what's going on here with him kind of getting grouped by, guilt by association with Gabby when it comes to him getting lumped in with her because he's a Marleyan too. And we saw after she had shot Sasha, Falco got his tail beat too. And we know he had nothing to do with it, but since he's a Marleyan, is what it is. He's labeled as just as evil and crazy as Gabby. So it's frustrating, man. And he kind of reminds me of Armin a little bit in a way. But before I get into that later on, as to what I'd like to see with Falco and Armin. Moving on, Gabby freezes up after the girl asks her that question, "Why did my mother have to die when she had nothing to do with the attack on your people?" Gabby freezes up, sweats, can't say nothing, as expected. So what we're seeing right now is Gabby having her viewpoints, her whole entire worldview getting flipped on its head and challenged. About time. Exactly what I like to see. And Falco, he, like I said before, he smooths things over, says, the attack from the Marleyans ended up having you and your mother get swept up into it. That's exactly what happened. You had nothing to do with it, but you got roped into it anyway. That's what Falco said. So that's pretty much it. And as later on, as the girl is kind of like telling Gabby and Falco about the girl that saved her, Sasha Braun, we're getting closer and closer to the fact that Gabby and Falco are going to find out about Sasha. So moving on from that, really nice stuff going on with Gabby. I did enjoy that part of the episode. Going into what's going on with this whole Eren situation, Flock, as well as a couple of other Eldian soldiers, not aliens, don't want to trip on my words here. So moving on, Flock had ended up spreading the word that Eren had gotten arrested and he's in a jail cell. So word on the street, everybody knows what's going on, and there's a group of guys that are kind of like questioning Hanji on that. "Hey, what's going on? Why did Eren get arrested? How come we didn't know about it?" And Hanji's like saying, "Hey, ask the MPs. I mean, it has nothing to do with me." Obviously, she lied. So moving on from that, Flock is kind of talking to Hanji, questioning her as well. Why would you arrest somebody like Eren when he is the greatest benefit to humanity right now? When it comes to taking out these Marleyans, he should immediately be let out of that jail cell and giving a true chance. So obviously we have a bunch of people on Eren's side, that agree with what he did to the Marleys, the Marleyan army that day. So Hanji actually kind of agreed a little bit and said, "You know what, you may actually be correct, but I won't tolerate disobedience. So because of that, because of what he did and because of what y'all did, you can go in a jail cell as well, just like him." So Flock, kind of, taking it. He says, "If it's for the good of humanity, fine." And I saw something interesting in the preview that is going to contradict what he just said, because I have an interesting theory of what we could have next week. But anyway, moving on from that, Hanji, we kind of see her kind of cracking under the pressure a little bit. Her being commander is not really something she enjoys. And Erwin, she's still questioning why Erwin gave her that position in the first place. And there was an interesting scene where we kind of go back to, I believe it was season 3, where, she was told by one of the prisoners that as soon as one role is passed down from one person to another, that person who picks up that role from the previous owner continues. So that's kind of what's going on with Erwin and Hanji. So he died, and she's next to take his spot. And, she doesn't like that. Hanji's stressed, as we saw in last week's episode, where I forgot to talk about the scene where she was kind of breaking down a little bit after having that confrontation with Eren. And when she had kind of played off the whole thing as a joke, we know that was just her compensating for her fear and stress of that situation. And she kind of, around that time, she questioned, why did Erwin give me such a position in the first place? So I feel like eventually later on in season 4, Hanji may actually have a mental breakdown. I don't know, and I really hope it doesn't get her killed. Because I like Hanji, obviously. She's one of my favorite characters in the series. I hope not. But it wouldn't make sense for her to just automatically, immediately get accustomed to being commander when she's never done anything like this before to begin with. So, moving on from that. Yeah, we go into Mikasa and the girl that she had saved back in the day in season 1, episode 6. There was a girl and her mother amongst the civilians who were kind of getting attacked by all of these titans around the evacuation area, and that was where the man was kind of like blocking off all of the civilians because he didn't want the evacuees to start getting over flooded. And as we remember, back in the day, Mikasa had killed this titan that almost hurt that child and her mother. And this is that very same child, that girl. Forgot her name. But yeah, she's part of the Survey Corps now. She's a soldier, and she had told Mikasa that I joined so that way I can get closer to you. And then she goes and asks, so why did you join the Survey Corps? That's what she asked Mikasa, and of course, like we knew, Mikasa kind of gets in her feelings and says, I'd advise you to stop talking, otherwise you'll be in here much longer, something like that. And I took that as her kind of getting frustrated because really she doesn't have any unique reason why she joined the Survey Corps to begin with. She came here because of Eren. We know that, and we know why. But that just goes to show that she has no individuality. The only thing she's living for is Eren this, Eren that. And there was an interesting scene after the girl had kind of, saluted Mikasa as Mikasa was walking. And eventually, Mikasa kind of got this flashback remembering the day where Eren had killed those men who, kidnapped Mikasa. And afterwards, Mikasa's kind of remembering something that she may have blocked out as a child. So, yeah, we saw the aftermath of Eren killing those men, going too far because after the men were dead, he kept stabbing them over and over. He looked crazy, and we always knew that Eren had this potential for murder and violence. And maybe now she might be kind of questioning her stance on how she views Eren. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I'm curious to know if there's something about Eren that she knows, but her childhood, her mind around the time when she was a child is kind of blocking that memory out. I don't know. That could be it. Maybe she saw something that Eren did eventually around that time, and she could be mentally blocking it out. I don't know. Or maybe she's questioning how she viewed that whole entire memory and there's nothing that's hidden that she's blocking out. I'm not sure. But that was just a very interesting scene that I couldn't exactly stop rewinding over and over and over again when I saw it. So, moving on from that, there was also a scene where Pixis confronts Yelena and he's getting ready to interrogate her. And, Pixis being the pimp he is, he says, oh, yeah, I'm glad I get to talk to such a pretty lady, man. All right, that's what's up. That's the type of guy Pixis is. So we don't really get anything from that scene. It kind of ends off right there. And yeah, I get what Pixis mean, man. I get what Pixis means, man. I don't know why, but Hajime Isayama had he has a tendency to draw some pretty attractive women in his series. I'm just saying, even though at the same time they're not real women, but let's just move on. Let's just move on. So, yeah. In all seriousness, going on to another scene that stood out to me in this episode. Later on, we see that the Marleyans are kind of talking about the fact that Zeke, and this was at the ending of the episode, they're kind of talking about the fact that Zeke played them. It's like, bro, we fell for Zeke's dog crap. Bro, we got tricked. So we need to come after him and Eren too. So Reiner, he's like, no, we can't wait. I mean, we can't just go and wait 6 months because Eren, he's already planning something right now. That's highly possible. It's highly possible that Zeke is planning something as well along with him. So we need to strike back fast, and we need to do it now. So that way we don't give these dudes the time to hit us again. So we see Reiner, Peak, Porco, the other Marley and soldiers that we know kind of talking about this. So that's where the episode ends, and or at least that's all the things that stood out to me. Of course, there were other things here and there, like the Asian woman kind of talking to the judge, the dude judge, kind of talking about the trades that Zeke had in mind, and kind of going in on that. And yeah, that was pretty much it. And I think the way how the Marleyan soldiers found out about Zeke playing them, they found out that he was sending, he was using ODM gear and kind of giving that to Eldians. So there you go. Right there, the episode was pretty good. Definitely enjoyed it. I would give the episode about an 8.5 out of 10 when it comes to how it was done. I feel like there's a few things that I really wanted to see. I wanted to see Gabby and Falco end up finding out that Sasha was the girl who saved that girl that they were interacting with the whole time. I wanted them to find that out now in this episode, but maybe they could be waiting. I don't know. And I wanted them to kind of go into the fact that Mikasa may be questioning her stance on Eren a little bit more. I wanted so much more from that scene. But yeah, and I also kind of wanted to see Eren kind of have a bit of a monologue in his head, kind of planning his next attack. But maybe, who knows? Maybe Hajime Isayama around this time wanted to keep that all secret. Oh yeah, and one more thing that I wanted to bring up with Armin and Falco. I hope eventually Falco ends up meeting Armin. And as we know, Armin, he kind of had that same good nature that was taken advantage of sometimes. And I would like to see Armin kind of like say that to Falco, kind of like say, you shouldn't always be too forgiving and nice to these people, because they'll eventually end up taking you for granted. They'll take that kindness and use it against you, and it'll be your downfall. As we know, Armin has a pretty interesting quote from Caesar 1 where he said, you have to be willing to abandon your humanity if you want to move forward. Something like that. I believe I'm remembering that quote right. So that's about it, man. I'll catch y'all girls and boys next time. Boys and girls, whatever. I kind of twisted it up a little bit. My bad. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notifications bell. If you choose to see more, leave a like, dislike, whatever, man. Your choice, your freedom. Yeah, man. I'll see y'all next time. Geek Hustlers out. Peace.